Caleb, death threats have been thrown around in the Schlossnagle move, who went from Texas A&M to Texas. What do you make of death threats? Because you've got a pretty strong opinion on this.
Well, I didn't know this was going to be a topic until Dave, guys. Y'all are acting like I set up this topic. Dave and John proposed this one to me today because I was very strongly felt about this yesterday. But I'll just bring up this. I despise when people publicize the fact that they were getting death threats the minute they're struggling. Yes, the Texas A&M coach, now the Texas coach in baseball, Jim Schlossnagle, it was so fake when he did it. I'll just give a few more examples real quick, and I'll let you guys jump in. After LSU lost to Iowa in the women's basketball Elite Eight, Angel Reese comes out and says, "I've been over-sexualized and received death threats."
Holy.
You were the one who posted thirst traps all over the Instagram and social media, and you got paid to do it. Congratulations! I'm all for that.
How do you over-sexualize somebody?
Well,
ask the Kardashians.
I know just every answer to something that has to do with females is just the Kardashians with John.
Yeah.
Caleb.
Well, it's fair for someone to complain about that if they're like not actually trying to make money off their body. Which, again, if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm all for it. You know, capitalism, America, freedom. Do what you want to do, but don't then complain about the way you're, people gawking at your body after you lose and then say,
why in the world would you want to levy a death threat against Kim Kardashian? No, that's not what you were saying. I'm confused.
No. Angel Reese said that she had received death threats. I'm like, and it was after LSU lost to Iowa. By the way, they lost to Iowa because Angel Reese was the worst help defender in the history of help defense off screens. That's why Caitlin Clark went off in that game. And then another example, Jim McElwain, just as he was getting fired from Florida, oh my gosh, I'm receiving death threats now. I'm getting death threats from Florida fans. It is always used as a wedge to deflect from the fact that somebody is sucking at their job or doing something terrible, and they want to deflect the anger off of them.
Not 100% true, but there is a lot of truth to that. I thought particularly with the McElwain thing. However, John, I'm going to put the amount of death threats that you've received at 18 and a half. Should I take the over or the under?
Under.
Under? Far under or a little under?
Yeah, it's in single digits.
Okay, cool. Mine's 1, and it's from a coach's son. So that's kind of something I wear as a badge of honor. So, John, there are situations in which I have dug into and found out there were death threats, and I've asked about them. But Caleb's point is when I just volunteer that information, as Schlossnagle did. What's your take on that? Is that a desperate cry for sympathy or help, or is that something that should be shared that fans are taking things too far?
Well, it could go either way. I mean, you miss a college place kicker misses a field goal in the final seconds of a game. The game goes the other way. He could get death threats. I'm sure who was the Alabama? Was it the Alabama center in the playoff game that was
the worst center in the history of centers? Yes.
Yeah. I think he got probably got death threats. Yeah, you get death threats. So they can be real. Now, by real, I mean, yeah, somebody threatened you. That doesn't mean they would actually go through with it. However, so it can go either way. I think some of these people do get death threats. With Schlossnagle, it's interesting you bring this up because when this happened, a friend of mine who's in the media in Georgia, he texted me immediately and said, "Man, that Schlossnagle dude, I really don't like using that guy's name. That's a tough name to pronounce, isn't it? Schlossnagle." Schlossnagle. And you get the feeling it's going to become a verb and not in a good way. He said, "Man, he Schlossnagled them."
Yeah, I thought he really loved her, but he Schlossnagled her, divorced her, and took all the money.
Yeah. He Schlossnagled the Kardashians, since I want to continue the Kardashians.
That sounds that sounds very sexual.
Okay, let's leave that alone. I don't know why you brought that up. And actually, in fact, I've never seen the Kardashian show, so I don't know why
you talk about them a lot.
I know it just came up today. And anyway, so I say, so my friend says, man, that guy better watch his back. Somebody's going to put out a hit on him.
I mean,
Hold on, go ahead, John.
I got an email from a Tennessee fan saying, man, that guy, he did a Lane Kiffin on him. No, Lane Kiffin, he held a press conference and said he was leaving and going to Southern Cal. He didn't even have to hold a press conference. This guy, we don't know. This guy might have been coaching all the way through the NCAA tournament, knowing he was leaving for Texas, and we haven't had the other shoe drop yet. He may take players with him. I mean, this is about as bad as it gets in terms. I don't normally put ethics and coaches in the same sentence, so I'm not stunned by any of this. But this guy went off on a reporter after the game, like, how dare you ask me about that? I mean, who does this? So to Caleb's point, if he would do, he sounds like exactly like the kind of guy who would say, man, things aren't going well for me in public opinion. Maybe I need to play the death threat card. Hey, somebody said they're going to kill me. So I tend to side with if there's ever a case where somebody would say, pull a death threat out of the sky, this might be the guy and the time to do it.
And you were telling me too, and Caleb will appreciate this, Caleb. So sorry to jump ahead of you, but I know you'll like it. This Schlossnagle guy has a reputation of being a guy that, let's just say, I don't want to give anything away, that he has a reputation of being something that rhymes with the word seahole. He's not having the best reputation. Or
I don't even know what word you're saying.
He's supposed to be a jerk. It rhymes with the A word. I did some digging. You've heard some digging, John. Is there any chance A&M's just better off with him cruising on?
Well, not if he takes 3 of their best players. It's A&M and better off. I mean, A&M will bounce back from this. Don't get me wrong, and it will just add more fire to a very long-standing, very hate-filled rivalry between the Aggies and the Longhorns. This will be just another chapter, but this fabricating death threats, and so you also have to define a death threat. I mean, one time I got an email from someone that said, I wish an F4 tornado would suck you out of your car. Well, is that a death threat? No, I think he just wishes me dead, but he wouldn't, he wasn't planning to kill me. He just wishes I would die.
Before I share my death threat story real quick, do we take into account, Caleb, that death threats are way easier because of email and social media, so they hold less weight? If I put the time together to cut letters out of a newspaper and tape them to a piece of paper, then that reporter that I email it to or that sports figure should be scared.
That's where I was coming with this. So the reason I'm
when you're sniffing.
Yeah, so I'm not dismissing death threats, and I'm not saying they don't happen. I'm saying they happen so often, I feel like people only choose to play the card when they're struggling, because I'm like, that can't be the only time you ever got death threats. You're just choosing to play it now. I felt that way with Jim McElwain. Another one, just a quick example, like, you're right, like Hank Aaron, the death threats he was getting when he was chasing Babe Ruth's record. Yeah, people were sending him letters, and like they had his address. They were writing letters out to him. I mean, that was real. If you're getting I've gotten death threats, and when I was a small time blogger, I had some people say some crazy stuff, and it's like, there's probably me in somebody's mentions right now on Twitter where someone said something crazy to me, and like, they're not, like, that doesn't mean anything.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to tell you
famous last words, Caleb. Go ahead.
Yes. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll share. My death threat was while I was on the air. It was from a coach's son that called me the B word that rhymes with rich, but isn't rich, and said, no, I take that back. You're a super rhymes with rich. And that's while I was on the air too. And I wasn't even talking about that coach at the particular time. I'll tell you how my employer responded in 15 seconds. John's appearance brought to you by Newbert Collision Center.
Fifth year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
John, the response was by the employer, well, you need to call the cops, John? Response went, I was like, I thought that's something you might do.
Yeah. Well, you knew right then that they would always have your back.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's 911 or 922 or something.